时隔了7年的时间，莫迪政府终于确定在8月31日到9月1日期间进行一系列的访华活动，并且呢也会参加上合组织的天津峰会。那很多好朋友就在想一个问题了，是不是从此之后中印关系就会180度大转折呢？我想如果有这样子的想法的话，可能还是太傻太天真，大家还是不那么了解印度啊。虽然说川普之前给印度增加了25%的关税，昨天呢又宣布再增加25%啊，达到了50%的关税，创下了亚洲关税之最啊。这时候呢，很多好朋友会在想一件事了，这个时候印度肯定是来抱中国大腿的呀，对吧？我们先来看一下新闻吧。
每次见到莫迪又牵手又拥抱的特朗普，突然是翻脸了。印度的关税没得减了，25%的税额这个月呢开始执行，俄油也不给买了，买了就重罚。被骂完死亡经济体之后啊，还收到威胁，继续大涨关税。印度举国哗然。印度外交部回应不公平，印度将和所有主要经济体一样，采取一切必要的措施来维护国家利益与经济的安全。这句话很耳熟，但是从印度人嘴里说出来呢，又有点陌生。印度过去一直是西方制衡中国的筹码之一。通过美印对话机制、美印日3边峰会以及美日印澳4方安全对话等机制，美国是加速实施了印太战略，印度则是借机谋求地区的影响力。当初为了与在美国谈判当中获利啊，印度还不惜对包括中国在内的国家出口到印度的钢铁产品征收12%的临时关税。但是美国向来只有利益没有朋友的。去年印度对美贸易顺差占到了两国货物贸易规模的35%，关键还和俄罗斯是越走越近，经济政治双双触碰了美国的红线。特朗普呢必须要敲山震虎，威胁加侮辱。对印度施压的同时，美国也宣布和巴基斯坦联手来开采石油，关税呢也从4月份的29%降到了19%。那么最新消息，当地时间8月6日，白宫宣布再向印度加征25%的关税，作为其继续购买俄油的惩罚。特朗普的翻脸无情，给所有试图在强权夹缝中走钢丝的国家上了一课。50%的极高关税威胁下，印度的强硬还能撑多久？关键看其国内经济的真实抗压力，以及所谓战略自主政策的成色。莫迪会如何接招？拭目以待。
那站在印度的角度，他是怎么看待美国对他们的打压呢？他看待美国对他们的打压，是因为美国忌惮于他们的成功，忌惮于他们的崛起，所以这样子来打压他们啊。可是他们并不知道，川普有他的逻辑。川普的逻辑是什么？我为什么给你收这么高的关税啊？一方面你买了俄罗斯的石油，对不对？另外一方面你还倒卖了这个石油，你倒卖了之后有多少差价，他就在那精明的那个计算，然后呢，我要用交易的艺术来打压你们。所以这一次啊，完完全全是什么？印度的赢学和川普的赢学一次大 PK。
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and time now for the nation's sharpest opinion. And Donald Trump is just obsessed with India. He's obsessed. Twice a day he makes a comment on India. He's looking terrible when he does that. He's looking obsessed. He's looking depressed. And he's looking desperate. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has misplaced priorities. Instead of obsessing about India, he should be thinking about the looming debt crisis that he's going to turn his country to at 37 trillion US dollars. And he's going to take it to 43 or 45. Believe me, very, very soon, debt through the roof, the economy is tanking. Unable to handle the situation, he and Mr. Medvedev of Russia are having nuclear bombast on both sides. He thinks it's a game of chess. Medvedev says Trump should remember the walking dead. And Trump says, I'm going to be moving nuclear submarines into appropriate regions, trying to make it sound extremely threatening. But this is a childish game. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not interested about what's going on between Dmitry Medvedev and Donald Trump. Keep in mind, Putin doesn't even engage with Trump. He makes Medvedev engage with Trump. The reality is that Trump, who was once in love with Putin, can no longer handle Russia. He had said that he's going to end Russian aggression within 10 to 12 days. It's an absolute disaster, ladies and gentlemen. Through July, by situation in the Middle East, unable to handle Russia, he is incessantly and obsessively thinking about India. He's issued 4 threats to India in the last few days. July 30th, India will have to pay 25% tariff and penalty. July 31st, India and Russia have dead economies. August 4th, we will raise tariffs on India for selling Russian oil. August 5th, when we pretty much don't care and tell him, go to hell, we're not listening to you. He says, I will raise tariffs in the next 24 hours. You know what, Donald Trump? You're welcome. You're welcome. You should have seen the Indian Foreign Ministry's response. And I can personally say, as a proud Indian, that we are really super proud of the chilled out and cool way in which the Narendra Modi government is handling it. We've told, we should be proud of our Prime Minister. He's being so calm through this. He said, listen, we've been importing from Russia because traditional supplies are diverted to Europe. So secondly, he says this is energy security, not opportunism. He makes it clear, don't try and single us out. He points out, when I say he points out, means the Ministry of External Affairs points out that Europe and Russia have strong trade. The EU buys a range of goods from Russia, including fertilizers, chemicals, transport equipment. But most importantly, he calls out Donald Trump's hypocrisy. He says, you continue to import uranium hexafluoride, palladium, fertilizers and chemicals from Russia. And then goes on to say, doesn't matter how many times you threaten us, we're going to work in our supreme national interest. Ladies and gentlemen, we should be so proud of what that statement was of the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. But I'm not saying this only because of the MEA statement. I'm saying this because if you should have heard what Narendra Modi said about Swadeshi in a recent rally just a few days back. Listen to this.
चीज भारत के लोगों द्वारा बनी है, भारत के लोगों के कौशल्य से बनी है, भारत के लोगों के पसीने से बनी है, हमारे लिए बहुत स्वदेशी है. हमें वोकल फॉर लोकल मंत्र को अपनाना होगा. हम संकल्प लें कि हम मेक इन इंडिया प्रोडक्ट्स को ही बढ़ावा देंगे. हमारे घर में जो भी नया सामान आएगा वो स्वदेशी ही होगा.
And for anyone watching this, whether you're watching this in the United States of America or in India or anywhere in the world, the government of India has been preparing for this kind of a situation. We don't want a trade war with America or any country. But our government for the last 11 years has been strengthening ourselves and preparing for a situation. This is what we are saying today. The confidence with which we are dealing with Trump's threats and not getting affected by it is because our government has been focused on Make in India and much, much more for the last 11 years. Like BrahMos examples, defense exports reached 15,000 plus crores from the private sector, 8,000 plus crores from DPSUs. That's Make in India. This year's budget saw 19,500 crore allocation for PLI, Production Linked Incentive Scheme. 33,500 crores have been pumped into strategic sectors, electronics, EV, semiconductor, telecom, and pharma. That's billions and billions and billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions of US dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, what Donald Trump does not know is that India is a very powerful country and a very proud country. We are telling America, truly, we are a much bigger economy than Russia. We are a much bigger economy today than the United Kingdom. The fact is that the Americans have no leverage on us. Donald Trump can shout as much as he wants, threaten as much as he wants, but he does not have leverage on India. We are a rising economy, and that itself is a huge irritant for Trump. What is making a person like Trump angry and upset? The reality is because we are among the top 3 powers. Ladies and gentlemen, Goldman Sachs estimation, of course, we'll be still much smaller by 2030, but we will be top 3. The gap between us and number 4 will be considerable. Now project that, ladies and gentlemen, to 2050. You see the gap reducing. India will be a $22.2 trillion economy. And this is not, in purchasing power parity terms, will be much bigger than China. And will be much bigger than the United States of America for sure. Will be top 2 economy by 2050. And by 2075, if we were to project that to 2075, ladies and gentlemen, the situation is going to completely and drastically change. where we will be a larger economy than the United States of America. So we're a top 3 power. We are going to be a top 3 power starting 2030, maybe 2027, 28 to 2030. And then by 2075, we will be top 2. Why is Trump hurting? Trump is hurting because he is losing. That is the only inference we can draw. Trump is hurting because he knows he's not been able to shake India. And Trump is hurting because he's frustrated at many global levels. And his attempt to use India as a pivot to fight his losing battle with Putin is not going to work. So, ladies and gentlemen, Trump's got it terribly wrong. We're going to win this. Please circulate this everywhere you can, especially in the USA, so people there see sense and can put some pressure on their own president.
最后的结果会怎么样呢？我想很多好朋友都很关心这件事情。说句实话，印巴空战之后啊，印度的国运啊，至少有20-30年是缓不过来的。那川普这样子抢劫式的对待全世界各国呢，也会失去掉这个国家的所有的信任。但是有一点是确定的，无论怎么输，川普总会还有他的赢学在，印度也会有印度的赢学在。啊，我真心希望啊，无论怎么输，你们一定要不忘初心，因为我太喜欢看到你们虽然输得一败涂地，可是还是那么桀骜不驯的样子。好，点个订阅，我们下次再聊。
A lot was made of the president's comments about India. We were trying to figure it out exactly what, and it's obviously negotiating and leverage and everything else. And we've heard that we're close with India, and that's one of the majors, other than China, that are left. What was the president's intent yesterday with some of those comments about India? And do you expect something to happen before the deadline?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be up to India. India came to the table early. They've been slow rolling things. So I think that the president, the whole trade team's a bit frustrated with them. And also, India's been a large buyer of sanctioned Russian oil that they then resell as refined products. So, they have not been a great global actor.
How about in China, some of that wrapped up? And a lot was made of the president's comments about India. We were trying to figure it out exactly what, and it's obviously negotiating and leverage and everything else. And we've heard that we're close with India, and that's one of the majors, other than China, that are left. What was the president's intent yesterday with some of those comments about India? And do you expect something to happen before the deadline?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be up to India. India came to the table early. They've been slow rolling things. So I think that the president, the whole trade team's a bit frustrated with them. And also, India's been a large buyer of sanctioned Russian oil that they then resell as refined products. So, they have not been a great global actor.
How about in China, some of that wrapped up? And